Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to JTA's 2026 State of the Authority. And thank you all for taking time today to be here with us. I want to begin by acknowledging my colleagues on the JTA Board of Directors. I see Director Sams is here. Thank you for being here today. And serving alongside you and the others is clearly an honor. And each of you brings a unique perspective, deep expertise, and a shared commitment to ensuring the JTA continues to serve Jacksonville with integrity, accountability, and vision. And thank you for your partnership and dedication to public service. I also want to recognize our elected officials, community leaders, and regional partners. Your engagement matters. Public transportation does not succeed in isolation. It succeeds through collaboration, trust, and a shared belief in its value to economic vitality and quality of life for our community. I want to recognize the men and women of the JTA, the employees who show up every day to keep the system running. From bus operators and maintenance teams, to the planners and engineers, to our customer service professionals and our administrative staff. Your work directly impacts thousands of people across our region. And I speak on behalf of the board when I say your commitment, we appreciate your professionalism and pride that you bring to this organization. JTA's board's responsibility is to provide a strategic vision, strategic direction, policy and oversight, and accountability while empowering the JTA team to do what they do best. And we work to ensure that every decision aligns with the JTA's mission and its vision. And at the center of that work are two critical perspectives, the customer and the community. And that is why at the December Board of Directors meeting, the JTA board approved a fare modification pilot program that will significantly reduce the cost to ride for the vast majority of our customers by as much as 43%. And let me go off script for a second. That's bold leadership that was brought to you by the leadership of the JTA management under the direction of Nat Ford. They went out and thought outside of the box for this respective community. And I thank you all for that. Now, affordability is a conversation at every dinner table in this entire region. And it's this type of innovative, outside the box type of thinking that at JTA and under Nat's leadership that continue to bring this community, that we bring this to this community in Northeast Florida. And we also know that we don't always have all the answers. The fare modification pilot program begins on February 1 and runs for the next 6 months. And during this pilot, JTA staff will be examining the customer data and using this information to make decisions on fares and routes going forward. This is another important way that JTA is listening to our customers to offer the best public transportation that we can offer. And under the leadership of Nat, JTA has built a national reputation for innovating, particularly in the autonomous vehicle space. At the same time, the JTA team remains true to the core of what we do best, and that is providing safe, reliable, and affordable public transportation to our community. Now, this is a balance. And I want to emphasize that we can do both and that we are doing just that. You will hear today about progress that's being made, lessons that we've learned, and priorities as we move forward. Mobility is changing. Our city is growing. But more importantly, our customers' expectations are evolving. And the role of public transit agency today looks vastly different than it did a decade or 2 decades ago. The JTA is an agency built on service, accountability, and a commitment to the people of Northeast Florida. The JTA board is proud to play a role in upholding those values and ensuring that we guide them, the staff, every step of the way. So in closing, I want to thank everyone in this room for your continued support of the JTA. And together we are helping shape a transportation system that reflects the needs, the aspirations, and future of our community. I'm optimistic about about what lies ahead, and I'm confident that the leadership of this organization is exactly what we need. And I'm proud of the work being done every day by our team to serve the customers and the taxpayers in this community. Now, I have the distinct honor to introduce Ms. Jane Williams, who served as Acting Director of the Federal Transit Administration from August of 2017 until January 2021. As Acting Administrator, Jane managed some of the largest formula and competitive grant programs within the U.S. Department of Transportation, representing more than $80 billion in economic investment in transportation infrastructure across the entire United States. She has nearly 30 years of experience in federal and state government, along with work in the private sector in the areas of transportation and infrastructure. Jane currently serves as Senior Vice President and National Practice Leader at the prestigious American architectural and infrastructure design firm, HNTB. Prior to her role as FTA Administrator, she was a Senior Advisor to the U.S. Department of Transportation's Secretary, Elaine Chao, and previously the Director of the Washington Area Transit Office of the Maryland Department of Transportation, and prior to that, a Senior Legislative Advisor to Congressman Andy Harris, who serves as a member of the powerful Appropriations Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote speaker for the Jacksonville Transportation Authority's 2026 State of the Authority, the Honorable Jane Williams.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that kind and very long introduction, Andre. The secretary used to say, it sounds like I couldn't keep a job, but I have been in the industry 30 years, so there's that. It's great to join you today with your board of directors, CEO Nat Ford, and the dedicated FTA team, local elected officials, community leaders, and current members of the U.S. DOT team joining us here and also online at JTA's State of the Authority event today. It's always great to be back in beautiful Jacksonville, even if it isn't quite as warm as I had hoped. It's definitely warmer here than in our nation's capital. One of the many reasons I'm also glad to be back in Jacksonville is because of the partnership that FTA and JTA forged during the first Trump administration when I led the FTA under Secretary Chao's leadership. My team at FTA was never boring. And my time at FTA was never boring. My team wasn't either. It began with a total solar eclipse, followed by 3 major hurricanes, Harvey, Irma, and Maria, 2 of the 3 having major impacts here in the state of Florida. It was followed by a 35-day shutdown of the federal government, the longest in federal government history until recently, and then finished with the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite these challenges, I'm proud of what we accomplished during the first Trump administration and the things that we were able to do here with Nat Ford's leadership at JTA. Many of you may not know this, but Nat was literally the first transit CEO I met. When I began my tenure at FTA, and it was at my first annual APTA meeting in Atlanta. It was just a few weeks after I had been sworn in as the acting administrator, and at the time, he was the incoming chair of APTA. I had the opportunity to introduce him to Secretary Chao, and together, we walked the expo floor. And even back then, Nat was focused on innovative technology. We both wanted to show her what is innovative in transit at that time. I'd like to think of that as our first partnership, Nat. When hurricanes and other natural disasters struck, I reached out to transit CEOs in the affected areas. Most of them were caught off guard by why someone was calling them from Washington, from the federal government, offering assistance. They didn't really know what to do with that. But not Nat. He was prepared. He had heard I had called Tom Lambert at Houston Metro, and that I asked Tom, how could I help? And Nat had a list. By the time I got to him, he had not only a list of how I could help JTA, but all of Jacksonville. So it just shows his leadership, his ability to lead in a bold way. And under that leadership, he put together an amazing team here at JTA. His executive team is one of the strongest in the country, and it includes a very good friend of mine, Greer Gillis, JTA's Chief Infrastructure and Development Officer. Greer and I go back to our days in D.C., and she continues to bring dynamic leadership here to Jacksonville and to JTA. The JTA team won multiple grants under almost every single FTA competitive program we had. More than $100 million in federal competitive, so I'm not talking about formula-driven money, even COVID money, $100 million in investment that he brought back from the federal government to JTA and to the city of Jacksonville. The two largest of those grants were under FTA's Capital Investment Grant Program. That's the largest transit infrastructure program at FTA, and most would argue the most complex in the entire federal government. And I know a little bit about that because I worked for 2 other presidents across 3 other departments. And let me say, the CIG program is the most complex. Even defense programs are not as complex as this. And you all won 2 grants, not just 1, but 2. Of the 33 full funding grant agreements were signed here with JTA. They were 2 bus rapid transit projects. The First Coast Flyer, who I actually had a chance to ride on with Nat, and the Jacksonville Southwest Corridor, totaling nearly 35 of that $100 million investment in transit infrastructure here. In fact, JTA brought in one of those projects ahead of schedule and under budget. Let me say that again. Ahead of schedule and under budget. Glad somebody clapped, yay. Under the first Trump administration, we realized that the federal government wasn't incentivizing project sponsors to do just that, to bring a project in on time and under budget. In fact, we were doing the opposite. If a project came in ahead of schedule and under budget, the project sponsor had to return the remaining federal portion of the funding back to FTA. What that did was incentivize them to spend every single last federal dollar they could. And so as a result, we changed that policy, and we allowed the project sponsor to come in and to pitch us on why they should keep that funding and why it should stay and remain with the project. And I have to tell you, there was only 3 projects across the entire country that qualified for that, and JTA was one of them. I think that deserves a round of applause, too. That was $13 million in grant funds that you were able to repurpose here in Jacksonville. You know, JTA was so successful in so many other programs across, like I said, across the entire FTA. You won 3 passenger ferry grants, 3 transit-oriented development grants, a bus and bus facilities grant, and a low and no emissions grant. And that is just under the first Trump administration. So one of the key reasons for their success was JTA's attention to the fact that we had written in innovation was a factor in selections. And they paid attention to that, and that was a big part of their success in all of our funding programs. So when JTA brought the U2C project to our attention, we listened. We were interested. We wanted to collaborate with our trusted partner and support them in taking on this bold and innovative step because we wanted them to succeed. JTA had delivered, and so when they came to us, we looked for ways to help them get this off the ground. And so we strategized on what other programs across USDOT could fit this. And most of FTA's funding programs are very detailed and very monitored by Congress. They're written in law, many of them. And so there isn't, a big, bucket in the back office where you can say, this is a great idea, we want to fund it. There just isn't that capability. In fact, they have a very small research and strategy and transformation budget there compared to the billions of dollars that go out for infrastructure investment. So, we need to figure out how to be better at that, but when we talked to them, we said, tell us a little more. We want to know a little more. So when we talked to them and got more fully briefed on the project, we learned that the project was going to use aging infrastructure that still had years of useful life and remaining federal investment, which is important, in a new and creative way, using technology, including the deployment of autonomous vehicles. Innovation was one of 3 of our key priorities. You heard me say that we did it in every FTA grant, but it was a key priority for President Trump and Secretary Chow in the first administration, along with infrastructure investment and ensuring our transit network was safe for the traveling public. We believe that innovation and technology were key economic drivers and tools to maintain the U.S. competitiveness on the world stage. So as we looked for other funding programs across the department that had the capability to fund this innovative project, there weren't many, but we found one. And it's the Better Utilizing Investments to Leverage Development Grant Program. That's a mouthful. We shorten it to BUILD, to fund the concept of what U2C was going to bring. And although innovation was a key priority for USDOT, unfortunately it wasn't for the rest of the transit industry. They were very slow to adopt innovation, and Nat has been a leader in that space for as long as I can remember. And that is truly not an easy thing to do. And so a lot of times other transit agencies kind of want to step back and just say, we'll let them take all the risk and plow those green fields, and then we'll come in after all those things are done. So under his leadership, he provided a roadmap for the entire industry on how to do more with less and use technology to get there, specifically in the deployment of the AVs, which is key to mobility innovation and the future of mobility across America. Congratulations on the launch of your Navi service last year, America's first public transportation system powered by autonomous vehicles. That is a big deal, a very big deal. And I want to congratulate you also on attracting Holon to come here and to invest in Jacksonville, with the North American manufacturing headquarters generating new jobs and millions in economic development to build AVs right here in the United States, in Jacksonville, ones that will meet Buy America and Build America requirements. The U2C project is paving the way for the future of mobility in America, and I was happy to support the advancement of this project while serving as the acting administrator, and I look forward to watching him improve the mobility landscape in Jacksonville and provide safe, reliable, innovative mobility solutions for the people of Northeast Florida. While I was the FTA administrator, I often said, FTA leads the way. Well, today, I believe it's appropriate for me to say, JTA leads the way. Thank you again for inviting me to join you today. I look forward to once again riding the First Coast Flyer while I'm here in the city, touring the Autonomous Innovation Center, and looking at and experiencing the AV deployment firsthand. Thank you for your leadership, Nat.
JTA leads the way. Can we give one more big thank you, a Duval thank you to Ms. Williams? Thank you for those insightful remarks and for your continued leadership in advancing transit innovation nationwide. Well, as we continue with today's program, it's my privilege now to introduce someone whose vision, commitment, and steady leadership guides everything we do at the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. He's been a champion for smart mobility, as you just heard, infrastructure investment, and a customer-centered approach to public transportation. Please join me right now in welcoming our Chief Executive Officer of the Jacksonville Transportation Authority, Mr. Nat Ford.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. On behalf of the Jacksonville Transportation Authority and the more than 1,000 dedicated JTA team members and our board of directors, thank you for being here and welcome. I first want to recognize the leaders and partners who make our work possible, and many of them are in this room or joining us virtually today. Later on, we'll hear from Saval Oz, Senior Advisor for the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Research and Technology, USDOT. Lee White is here, Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Research and Technology. You just heard from Jane Williams, former Administrator of the Federal Transit Administration. Jane, thank you so much for being here, and I just appreciate your remarks. And I think during that hurricane, when you called me, I actually was out in the backyard tying down our lawn chairs and things of that nature. And Janet actually said, "Hey, I think it's the FTA administrator calling you." So I ran in the house, and thank you for that call. That was very unique after my 40 years in this industry, having an FTA administrator call you directly to say, in advance of a storm, how can we help? And thank you so much for that commitment and support of the JTA. JTA Board Chairman Andre Wallace, you just heard from him a few moments ago, joined by our Vice Chair Pat Sams, Councilman Nick Howland, Vice President of City Council, thank you for being here. I know Dr. Rockman Johnson, our council liaison, he's on his way or he's in the audience somewhere, and he's been a fantastic liaison. Michael Boylan, Jacksonville City Councilman, Jacoby Pittman from the City Council, as well as Ron Salem, Jacksonville City Council member. Thank you all for being here. Kelly O'Leary, who's joining us today as Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Jacksonville and a former JTA alum, so keep up the good work. And Ed Randolph, also Executive Director for Economic Development for the City of Jacksonville under Mayor Donna Deegan. Howard Wanamaker, thank you, our partner in Clay County, the county manager. Thank you for entrusting us to provide the transit services in Clay County. You've been a longtime partner. And then my union partners. Amalgamated Transit Union President Melvin Hicks is here with his executive committee. Thank you for being here. And then the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, President Melvin Neesmith. Thank you for being here. You and your executive committee. We could not do the work that we do on a daily basis with the cooperation and hard work with our union officials. Our elected officials, community leaders, regional partners, honored guests, and of course our JTA Board of Directors, thank you for your leadership, your trust in this team, and your commitment to the people of Northeast Florida. Without your support, we could not be doing our jobs, nor could we do them to the degree and excellence that we do. So today's State of the Authority is about better together. Because when we listen, when we collaborate, and when we innovate together, we can deliver mobility solutions that are faster, safer, and better for everyone in our community. And that begins and ends with our customers, those who ride us daily, those who take the Game Day Express and those Jaguar games. They did a great job this year. Those who take the St. Johns River Ferry, or those who use our Connection paratransit services, those who are taking that first step into the future by riding Navi. Thank you. And it starts with our customers, because without them, there's no reason for us to exist. They're at the center of everything we do. Now, this agency was created back in 1955, primarily as a road and bridge builder. And then in the 70s, we took on the responsibility with not just building the roads and the bridges, but also moving people and helping our neighbors get to their destinations. Fast forward to 2026, that is still a core of what we do. And I'm so proud of the JTA today because we're such a critical part of the fabric of this community. This is a responsibility that we do not take lightly. And throughout my time here at the JTA, we start and end with the customer and making sure we understand their needs. That is no different than what we accomplished in 2025. This past year, we once again conducted system-wide outreach efforts through a number of customer-focused satisfaction surveys. Not only does this give us a pulse on how our customers feel about our services, it gives us an opportunity to get better and better. Although there is plenty of work to be done, the feedback we received was rather positive. Nearly 90% of our bus customers told us they feel safe riding our system and believe that staff at the JRTC are both professional and courteous. Confidence in our operators remains high, with the majority of our customers telling us that our drivers are skilled, qualified, and doing a great job every day. Our paratransit customers echoed that confidence, with more than 90% reporting that they feel safe and appreciate the professionalism of our connection drivers. And then the St. Johns River Ferry. 99% of our customers say they feel safe, recognize the cleanliness, and are satisfied with their overall experience riding the ferry. So I'm not sure who that 1% are, but we're actually targeting them. We're going to go get 100% in terms of satisfaction. And then Ready Ride and our other alternative mobility services fare similarly well. The caveat that our customers are expecting nothing but the best from the JTA. Being better together also means being honest about where we need to improve. Customers told us cleanliness, both on board and at bus stops and our shelters, must continue to be a priority, and it's why we introduced elevated standards and practices around cleaning and maintaining our vehicles and facilities. For an example, in fiscal year 2025, we performed nearly 64,000 cleanings, 23% higher, more cleanings than the previous year. Over 9,000 quality condition and quality assessments, which is nearly 70% more inspections than the previous year. And this year, we're on track to do even more as it relates to fiscal year 26. Our customers also reminded us that improving on-time performance is always an opportunity for us to raise the bar, and that feedback that we receive related to our service changes and the tweaks that we make to routes throughout the year. So those surveys give us information to make immediate tweaks to our service. Last year, we made over 30 route enhancements, added new buses to increase frequency, and also reduce wait times, making our service more reliable, accessible, and we did it while saving taxpayer dollars. Finally, our paratransit customers challenged us to improve reliability and our reservation process to make our journeys as smooth as possible. Over the last 3 years, our connection paratransit service has averaged over 93% on-time performance. We've also added some same-day reservations to our connection service, a topic of great discussion recently. And we replaced half of the entire connection bus fleet is brand new shuttles. We heard you, and we are acting. Right now, our teams are working hard on a number of initiatives we need to implement to raise those scores even higher in 2026 and beyond, and we are doing it with our union leadership and partners. In addition to those critical customer surveys, we challenge the JTA team to think even bigger. So while Jacksonville continues to flourish with opportunity for many, for some, the dream is harder to achieve without a little help. For example, the cost of a bus fare can be the difference between getting to that job interview, seeing that doctor's appointment, or to class and not. We asked ourselves a simple question: how can we help? The result is a staff-initiated 6-month fare modification pilot program that reduces the cost of using our buses by 43% and by over 30% for our connection customers. To give you some context, these fares have not been at this level since 2012, more than a decade ago. This is not a symbolic gesture. It's real money. And we're putting it back in the pockets of the customers who rely on the JTA every day. During the next 6 months, we'll closely monitor ridership trends, customer feedback, financial impacts, all without reducing service, without delaying any of our infrastructure projects, and without compromising on safety and security. I want to thank our JTA Board of Directors, who unanimously supported this initiative because it directly aligns with our mission to enhance Northeast Florida's economy and quality of life through safe, reliable, and innovative and dignified mobility solutions. Our fare modification pilot program is an investment in our community and one that we believe will generate long-term benefits for our customers and citizens through increased ridership as well as expanded access. Better together. It also means meeting people where they are. For many years, we recognize that mobility cannot be one size fits all. And I'm proud to say we at the JTA have a myriad of mobility choices, from dozens of fixed routes to the largest bus rapid transit network in the Southeast called First Coast Flyer. We have the St. Johns River Ferry, a host of public-private mobility solutions and partnerships that are serving as the connective tissue in terms of our main routes. And we're constantly monitoring community trends to see where jobs are located, where homes are being built, where our schools are now being constructed, and where critical medical infrastructure is being developed, so we can ensure that our routes, that our frequency, and our service levels match closely with that demand. Expanding access to public transportation is paramount, especially as it concerns families and our young customers. Now, when I was growing up as a young man or young child in New York City, I rode the public transportation system to school and wherever my activities were during the course of my daily life. Everyone knew how to ride the bus. It was how we got to school. It was how we got to an after-school program or our job, our part-time job, or a job that we had. It was part of the DNA of our city. We feel a strong sense of responsibility to introduce the JTA to the young people of this community. And over the past 5 years, we've done just that. Through our successful My Ride to School program, I'm proud to say that each and every month here in Jacksonville, close to 50,000 Duval middle and high school students are riding our system safe and reliably and complimentary. Note, complimentary. We are providing more mobility to our middle schoolers and high schoolers. They don't pay a fare to ride the bus. Some of them are here, right here in the room today. And at this time, I'd like to ask the students of Terry Parker High School, whose 5,000 role models of excellence and Latinos in Action student groups are here with us today. So please stand and get recognized. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Now, these kids are the future leaders of this great nation, and it is our responsibility to provide guidance and opportunity because that's where we're at here at the JTA. We're always talking about connectivity, so thank you for being here. Not only are we teaching the next generation to leverage this community asset, we're also removing a significant financial burden from many families in our community. We're giving families flexibility and supporting our local schools by providing another safe space for kids. Access to transportation should never be a reason that someone cannot achieve their dreams. I want to thank Councilmember Terrence Freeman for his partnership. We expanded that program related to My Ride to School. Now we have My Ride to Train, where actually we are supporting those individuals who are now getting certifications and apprenticeships in our community. They also now ride this system complimentary. That is how mobility supports education, workforce development, and economic growth better together. We're not just road builders, we're dream enablers. We're also delivering results on the ground on the very roads we drive each day. Over the past decade, JTA has reignited our historic role as infrastructure builders in Jacksonville through the Mobility Works program. Backed by local option gas tax dollars, we have successfully completed more than 24 road projects from the Better Jacksonville plan. With Mobility Works 1.0, we've completed dozens of miles of roads, sidewalks, and bike lanes. We've upgraded over 400 bus stops. We've installed over 100 new traffic and pedestrian signals. We've improved over 45,000 feet of drainage pipe. Didn't know that we're also in the pipe business here at the JTA. All in an effort to create newer, safer, and more accessible roadways in some of our busiest corridors. And I'm proud to say, in line with what Jane said, we completed this program or this tranche of projects 2 years ahead of schedule. 2 years ahead of schedule. Now, not many government agencies are known for getting things done on time and on budget, but that's part of the JTA. That's who we are. And that's because we've always had the taxpayers and our citizens in mind, and we have an exceptional team of professionals here at the JTA. And we've done all of this while maintaining the highest standards for safety and fiscal responsibility. This progress accelerates with Mobility Works 2.0, which is now underway and includes new segments of the Emerald Trail, expansion of the St. Johns River Ferry service with a second vessel on its way in 2028. 2 St. Johns River ferries will be part of our portfolio of services. It ensures our city streets are safer, our sidewalks are able to be appropriate for mobility in our communities, and our bike lanes are growing, all of it in line with the population growth for our community, not afterwards, but preparing for the future. For many of us in this room, the milestone we'll remember the most about 2025 is the launch of our Navi service, America's first public transportation system powered by autonomous vehicles. In June, last year, after nearly a decade in development, Navi shuttles hit the road in downtown Jacksonville. Navi, which stands for Neighborhood Autonomous Vehicle Innovation, connects our customers to many of the downtown destinations that we have, and some of those destinations have not been fully completed as of this speech. Another example of the JTA looking over the horizon, around the curve to ensure that we prepare for the future. From the Performing Arts Center in Everbank Stadium to new parks, museums, hotels, and more than 35 dining options, the Navi connects all the dots. This groundbreaking service was made possible through the partnerships with the Balfour Beatty V2R team, which included Beep, Superior Construction, WGI, Urban SDK, Miller Electric, and Grayline. Anchored by our state-of-the-art Automation and Innovation Center at La Villa, Navi is supporting a vision of a vibrant downtown urban core. As downtown Jacksonville's riverfront continues to develop, Navi will integrate seamlessly, moving people from destination to destination. And as downtown Jacksonville grows, so will the U2C in future phases to connect all corners of our urban core and beyond. Now, I'd like to share a special story about my good friend Jane Williams. You just heard from her. Some of you may not know, but she mentioned it. She was instrumental in the JTA actually being able to move the U2C program forward and make Navi a reality. And she mentioned that we worked very closely at the FTA. And thank you for coming to Jacksonville and awarding us with that build grant back in 2019. That grant kickstarted us with the resources that led to today's success. Jane, thank you for your leadership, for your vision, and frankly, your courage in turning this vision into reality, and for setting Jacksonville on a path to a new, brighter future. And it's great to have you back here. Good to see you, my friend. Now, progress is no easy feat. It takes time, patience, and resilience, even when some may not fully see the vision and the future. To those in doubt, I will remind you that the world is paying attention to what we're doing here. Those in doubt, please stand by and watch how this technology develops. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And we're not alone anymore at the JTA. There are now over 60 autonomous vehicle projects across the nation and more coming as I speak. In the last 6 months, we welcomed several government agencies and public officials from across the United States, as well as delegations from Germany and Japan, to share our best practices, lessons learned as it relates to the Navi deployment. And our peer agencies are looking to the JTA as the blueprint, so they can actually rinse and repeat what we developed in their own communities. I'll tell you, the economic impact that we are enjoying now because of Navi is real. Thanks to our U2C program, Jacksonville has attracted and will be home to an international vehicle manufacturer right here in Jacksonville. The first time automotive manufacturing has been built in Jacksonville, in the state of Florida, in the last 100 years. You made history, my friends. You made history. Holon has announced plans to invest more than $200 million in Jacksonville with its North American manufacturing headquarters creating over 800 advanced manufacturing jobs and an economic impact that will generate billions over the decades. Their autonomous vehicles built right here will meet all federal safety requirements, be ADA compliant, and adhere to Build America, Buy America requirements. From the people who built the Navi shuttles currently operating to those who are going to build the next generation of whole-launch shuttles, the JTA has and always will be supportive of the American worker to get the job done. The JTA's vision for the future will create opportunity beyond downtown, and if you're a young student in Jacksonville and you want to learn more about the real impacts of STEM education, look no further than Navi. If you're a graduate student at the new University of Florida campus in La Villa, being built right across the street from the JRTC, you will have a front row seat and experience to the technology of the future. You can't do that anywhere else but in Jacksonville. As Navi continues to grow, we will turn our attention to the most important and complex phase of the U2C. So we're actively designing and planning future phases and looking to welcoming the next generation of whole-on urban AVs to the streets of Jacksonville soon. We're focused on the first and last mile solutions through our Ready Ride zones, great Navi opportunity, as well as our beaches community. Recently received a call. The beaches are interested in Navi. If you're a tourist coming to visit our beaches, it may not be too far in the future that you can actually hop on Navi at the beaches. Technology is a big part of Navi, and it's how we plan to increase public safety and reduce costs in the long term. Technology is also transforming how our customers engage with the JTA in other areas. Our new website, our mobile app, we're making it easier than ever to plan your trip, purchase fares, and then have real-time information as to when your vehicle is arriving. We now serve over 215,000 mobile app users. Over 95,000 fare purchases are occurring on our mobile app. The new JTAFLA.com, it's ADA accessible, easier to navigate, and provides you the tools and resources to plan your trip from point A to point B. We've improved bus shelters over the past year, added digital signage throughout our transportation hubs, and given our customers more payment options than ever before. So whether you pay with cash, card, or My JTA app, we've got you covered. As these tools rapidly advance, we also are making significant investments in our information technology security to ensure that customer data and your privacy is protected no matter how you interact with the JTA. Now let's look ahead to 2026 because I think it's very important what we're sharing with you. I want to impress upon you the planning that is necessary for the future. Not just for today, not just for tomorrow. We need to look again over the horizon. I've shared just a few examples of that foresight in action, but now imagine it's 2050. It may seem pretty far away, but 2026 was also far away at one point. I say this because I'm proud to introduce MVP 2050, which is the JTA's Jacksonville Mobility Vision Plan. MVP 2050 is more than just a transportation study. It's a comprehensive blueprint for how we will build a safer, smarter, and more accessible mobility system over the next 25 years. It recognizes that Jacksonville is moving, and it's growing, and it's evolving. Our population and our economy is diversifying, and the expectations as to how we move in this community is evolving and changing. It acknowledges that Jacksonville is evolving, and our population is growing, and our economy is diversifying. We can't meet tomorrow's needs with yesterday's solutions. MVP 2050 is about a unified vision, one that plans and connects communities, supports our growth, and improves the quality of life for everyone in Northeast Florida. This plan is being co-led between the JTA and the City of Jacksonville. It's in collaboration with the Florida Department of Transportation, the North Florida TPO, the JAX Chamber, JEA, JAXPort, the Jacksonville Airport Authority, and dozens of community partners. It is a once-in-a-generation collaboration where government, business, education, healthcare, and residents can come together with a shared goal to design a mobility network that works for everyone, from the beaches to Baldwin, from the seaport to the airport, and from every neighborhood to every opportunity. At the heart of MVP 2050 is economic prosperity and access. This plan puts people together, ensuring that every resident, regardless of zip code, regardless of age, regardless of your ability, has access to safe, affordable, and reliable transportation. Mobility isn't about moving vehicles, it's about moving people and bringing them closer to their next possibility. MVP 2050 will naturally integrate technology, resilience, smart growth, and advance all modes of transportation from rail to autonomous vehicles, pedestrians, bike safety, improving transit access, and ensuring that every investment we make strengthens our neighborhoods and boosts our economy. But what makes MVP truly special is how it's being built, with transparency, accountability, and collaboration. We're going to reach every corner of the city through public meetings, digital engagement, strategic partners to ensure the plan reflects the desires of our community. We're not designing a plan for the community, we're designing it with the community. And when it's complete, MVP 2050 will deliver clear priorities, measurable outcomes, and a public dashboard so we can track progress in every step of the way. This isn't a report that'll sit on a shelf. It's a living, actionable roadmap to guide our city's growth and connect every citizen with their maximum opportunity. Before we talk about where we're headed with MVP 2050, let's take a moment to look at where we are and where Jacksonville is going. This is the imperative. Our city and our region is growing fast. I get a chance to hear that with Andre Wallace when we're in meetings together about how rapidly and how successful our community has become. According to the University of Florida's Bureau of Economic and Business Research, Duval County's population is projected to grow from just 1.1 million residents to more than 1.4 million residents by 2050, an increase of roughly 20%. That's nearly 250,000 more people calling Jacksonville home in the next 25 years. And that growth isn't just limited to Duval County. Our entire region, from Nassau to St. Johns County, is rapidly expanding. In fact, St. Johns County is expected to grow by more than 52% by 2050, reaching over 600,000 residents, making it one of the fastest growing areas in the entire state of Florida. Even in the short term, Jacksonville's pace of growth is outpacing other major Florida metros and the national average. Between 2023 and 2028 alone, we're growing by 11%, placing us amongst the top 10 growing communities in the United States. And there's another important trend we must prepare for, our senior population. Some of us in this room are going to be part of that population if we're not already there, and that is expected to rise by nearly 47% by mid-century. That means we'll need more accessible, highly reliable transportation options for our older adults who want to remain independent and be able to connect to their community. The growth will be incredible. There will be new jobs, new development, and new investment. But it also, for the JTA, brings a great deal of responsibility. We must ensure that our mobility system grows with our city. That's exactly why MVP 2050 is so important. It's how we prepare the Jacksonville of tomorrow, not by reacting to growth, but by anticipating and designing a transportation network to serve every resident in every neighborhood for decades to come. MVP 2050 is our promise that by 2050, Jacksonville will be a city where every person in every neighborhood has the freedom to move, connect, and thrive. The interconnectivity of American society is rapidly accelerating, and we know that with autonomous vehicle technology, we're not just building the transportation system of the future, we're helping to build the city of the future. At a recent public event earlier this month, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said something that those of us working at the intersection of transportation and technology have known for years. He said that someday, every single car, every single truck, they will be autonomous. There's no question of that. Over the last 6 months, as I mentioned, there's been over 60 different cities and states across the U.S. that are now deploying their own mobility systems powered by autonomous vehicles. And the race is on because lives are at stake. The safety of our neighborhoods and our communities are at stake. At a recent panel discussion on the federal government's innovation agenda, Seville Oz, U.S. Department of Transportation Senior Advisor for the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Research and Technology, that's a mouthful, called the roughly 40,000 road deaths a year an epidemic that autonomous vehicles could help end. Did you know that last year in Duval County, we had 22,000 auto accidents, over 15,000 injuries as a result of those accidents, and from those accidents, 164 lives were lost? That's on our roads. That's unacceptable to me. It doesn't have to be that way, and with these autonomous mobility systems, one day soon, it won't be. Senior Advisor Oz went on to say, autonomy will also change our cities. It will change the way we look at driving and moving around. That's exactly right, and at the JTA, we share that vision. We see the promise of a safer, better connected future, and we have a surprise here. At this time, I'd like to invite Senior Advisor Oz on screen to say a few words. She's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Senior Advisor Oz, you have our attention.
Corey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Natasha? We're having issues on audio.
Did you unclick it?
I unclicked it. I unclicked.
We can hear you clearly.
Go to that. Yes, says you. Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Can I see them? Just give me the thumbs up if you can hear me, because I can't hear you.
Got an audience of
Okay,
thumbs.
great.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I'm really so proud to be asked to even contribute to what you all have done in Jacksonville. And Corey Gaynor, your vision of what the movement of goods, people, services can do to communities, and the reciprocal health benefits, which we haven't even evaluated as part of of the outfall of what can happen when you start saving lives. I think that the DOT, the federal DOT, needs to take a hard look at your playbook, because you have been extremely progressive and represent one of the most, I would say, innovative and accomplished transportation networks in America. When I started, one of the first things I tried to do, and we succeeded through our team, was to stand up the first autonomous bus or shuttle bus in D.C. D.C. was a location and is a location where we have not really been exposed to autonomous vehicles. And the early learnings you get from exposing the public to this safety and this capability is immeasurable. But we also need to start imputing those signals on designated lanes, because people who drive vehicles in the same lanes that computer systems do, because the new driver is a computer system now, will drive differently. So it behooves us to talk about how we can prepare those designated lanes for no double parking, for signal transmissions that are much more variable speed, no tailgating, how one approaches cross sections. So people and machines need to start occupying a transitional period of movement. And I think that as we look at how we can also start to create national frameworks for the deployment of this technology, it's one of the areas which this administration feels very strongly about, how we automate frameworks of GDP impact. So when you move people, goods, and services coast to coast, you are, as you eloquently put, making a huge dent and impact in the manufacturing, retooling, rejobbing, and again, the health of the American public. So I'll stop short of saying that your activity to date with the Navy shuttles, your encouragement of Holland and its parent company, your partnerships, your encouragement of the transportation system network, and it's everybody's business, leads me to stop short of saying I applaud, commend, and highly value the work that you've done in Jacksonville. And I was just with Derek Bars, who's actually from Florida. He's our federal motor carrier administrator. And he spoke of you all as if you were one of the most progressive in the nation. So let me end by saying, keep going, carry on, stay calm, and we're behind you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Secretary Yaz. Thank you. So MVP 2050, that was great. I mean, hearing from Washington, D.C. and U.S. Department of Transportation, the work we're doing here in Jacksonville, it's getting noticed. We see it at the JTA, but I think when you talk about the broader community, it's no better endorsement than hearing from Assistant Secretary for Research and Technology, Seville Oz, because a lot of the work that we're doing here, there was no blueprint, no rules of engagement, some understanding in terms of requirements with Buy America and Build America, but we were able to develop a roadmap. At your seats, there's actually a case study that we have been asked to prepare going into the future to make sure we captured those lessons learned related to the development of Navi, and that could be shared with our peers around the country as well as our governing bodies, US DOT, FTA, Federal Highway Administration, as well as FRA. And so this is a global movement, but we need to make sure that here in the United States, we are accelerating the deployment of autonomous vehicles and that technology and doing it collectively, not alone. So in the last few weeks, she did not include, but in the last few weeks, the federal government publicly announced that they're going all in as it relates to autonomous vehicles. The administration has made it a priority to accelerate commercial development of this mobility solution. And throughout human history, it's clear successful leaders have understood that they can't achieve great things alone. The JTA is proud to have partners at the federal and state levels who have been with us the entire journey, every step of the way, helping to put our city on that path of greatness. In turn, the success of MVP 2050 will take our lessons learned today, but also foundationally prepare us for the future. One thing is clear: collaboration, communication, and community. And that's what our Better Together campaign is all about, and why we held over 8 meetings over the past few weeks to actually begin that process. It is a reminder that we do better when we listen to each other, when we work across our neighborhoods as well as industries, and we create solutions that uplift everyone. Progress doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when we plan together and work together, because we know that we are better together. Come on. And you are the people that are helping us with that planning. As I mentioned, we concluded a series of public meetings and input, and it's been very helpful to update our plan with the fare modification pilot. And in a few months' time, we'll hold another series of public meetings, all geared towards MVP 2050. So we need you there. We need to get your input. At each meeting, you'll have an opportunity to provide us feedback about the transportation network of the future. So in closing, I want to reiterate, this community is what drives each and every one of us each day. On behalf of more than 1,000 members here at the JTA and our board of directors, you have my personal commitment. The JTA has your back. We're looking at the future. We're looking at your mobility needs for the future, and we're devoted to making the JTA the best public transportation system in the world. We're listening to our customers. We're taking action to improve our customers' experience, and we're making decisions that are saving lives and saving taxpayer dollars. And when we are building a future that is faster, safer, and say it with me now, better together. To the JTA team, thank you. Your dedication, professionalism, your passion. I couldn't work with a better group of professionals. Our JTA board of directors, you set the pace, you provide us that guidance and leadership. And in return, I'm asking everyone, embrace this moment today, the gravity of the moment today. The autonomous vehicle system that we launched is at the crossroads of what is probably one of the most transformative times in mobility in our lives. You'll be part of defining that JTA legacy, and with MVP 2050, our children and our grandchildren will look back today and say, we got it right. That means what we do today, it matters in this moment. And what we do now will allow future generations to live better when we lead together, united in purpose, connected by cause, driven by that Duval County spirit. We move Jacksonville forward, better together. Thank you. Thank you.